You have to be nice to me.
It's worse than that.
You have to be better. Well, because, yeah, I mean, it's a
It's
similar
you
concept. Like,
you have to acknowledge a fantasy. Or...
Ooh.
I'm going to get some shit. I'm going to get some shit.
That was not a good line.
But you have to acknowledge someone else's reality. They're Republican and they don't like...
No, they love Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay.
But they assume that if people are going on podcasts half the time, we're going to talk shit about Joe
it.
Rogan. Yeah. And I thought it was funny because I'm like, I was just listening to one of his podcasts the other day. So actually, I was like continuously listening to like an over 4-hour one for a long span. And I think I didn't realize it was, and I'm going to say this like this, the infamous Jordan Peterson, I believe. Because I didn't realize he was such an articulate human being, considering the way a lot of other podcasters talk about him. But then having him actually talk on a show, I was like, he's actually really not bad at all.
I have his book. I've been struggling to read for the past few months.
Yeah, I mean,
12 Rules for Life. An Antidote to Chaos, I believe is what it's called.
I don't know, but I mean, I think that's who it was. I never even checked to see who it was on the podcast. That's who she.
I think his was 4 hours. I would believe
like
that.
It was like 4 hours long. And again, I just described the person to him, and it's like to her. This is what she said. He's like, it was he teaches at he was teaching at a college at one point. Had his own private practice for psychology.
Not Scientology.
Psychology.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, whoa, did I miss this part?
No.
Is into Scientology? That would be a different story.
Although I think they discussed Scientology, but that was a different podcast. Just kidding. I lied. He did not discuss it, I don't think. That was a totally different podcast. He wasn't in that one. It was a female. But anyway, back to this
probably.
one.
She did that whole expose. Yeah.
She was an ex-Scientologist.
Yeah, she was in it and then got out.
So I just heard parts of that one this past weekend.
That's a good podcast.
His podcast that he was on with Joe Rogan, this guy, had a practice of like psychology and whatnot, like had clients and everything in the nine, had a really upsetting situation where someone had accused him of being inappropriate and everything too. A lot of his like life went on hold. Like it was just this full like 4-hour long thing, and he just sounded very like
he's a very
intelligent,
articulate.
Very put together.
Yes.
Like had his own struggles, very much admitting things, really going like it was just. And I always imagined from like hearing other shit talking that Jordan Peterson was like this fucking nimwit, like just idiot guy that just like spewed bull crap. And I'm not gonna lie, that like kind of like just shook me as I'm listening to this person speak, and I'm like, wait, that was that person? Are you?
He's very smart.
Are you sure?
I think the video that got him famous was him talking to somebody from the far left.
That's probably why.
About a safe space or something. Let's pull that up. Let's see.
Oh, we're gonna fact check things?
Yeah. No, we're not fact checking.
Okay.
I fucked up with the fact checking. I fact checked one of my videos. One. And I realized...
Was it even like a factual place that you fact checked to properly?
It was... I said things in the podcast that I knew to be true. Okay, one sec. I'm going to be able to do this justice. Check that out.
Hilarious.
You haven't seen this, huh?
I haven't seen any of this.
God.
This is crazy.
Wow. That was rough. I'm struggling to type right now. Video.
I know. And it's really funny because like that's actually like
this is legit typing.
Yeah. I mean, I do this all the time, but
wow, did you see that?
Yeah.
It autocorrected. I typed in video that made and it autocorrected to Jordan Peterson famous.
I don't think autocorrect's the right word.
Or it filled in.
It filled in.
It filled in the rest, not autocorrect. Because I didn't type that. Google's always listening.
Yeah. Google
I gotta
knows
switch.
what's up,
DuckDuckGo is...
I want to go back to
Peterson. Whoa. Okay. We're going to watch this. Because I think this was the video.
Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest?
Yeah, this is the one.
Oh, that's him, yeah.
The presence of Nazis.
He's older now.
Supremacists assaulting people at your protest. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. So he did a protest, and I believe there were far-right extremists there that were saying stuff. And people associated him then with it. Let's listen.
Why were they here?
Well, how can I
are there views in alignment with yours?
At some point, you have to realize. Foolish question. Look, do you want to know what my views are?
I've watched all of your videos. Yes. Including yes, I have. Yes.
Then why would you ask such a question?
Because this is my interpretation of your videos.
Apparently, I wanted
all of the people who arranged the protest against you watched all of your videos.
Do you want to disavow 150 videos on YouTube?
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
Okay. Do you want to disavow the support? Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
So, I have 150.
Oh my god, did she say that to her? Did she say that in response to her? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
fucking god.
That was
You
your
really think that
pronoun,
you're
damn
worth
it.
all
Oh
of
my
that time?
god.
So look, I will answer your
sorry.
question, okay? I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out. And if the radical left keeps pushing the way
That
it's
sounds
pushing,
very much like a
they're
threat.
going to come.
That sounds very much
It's
like a
not
threat.
a
That sounds very much like a threat. Would you like to disavow the physical violence? Trans people were physically assaulted at this rally in your name. Would you like to disavow that violence?
Yes.
So you wish that didn't happen, and you want to, and I'm going to post this online that you would like people to not to be more accommodating of trans people and people of color at your events in future.
I would
I'm
like
a person
there
of
to be
color.
no
Listen,
violence.
I'm a person of color, and I felt very accommodating. I felt like my voice. Thank you very much.
Wow, shout out. I don't know how much we can play without getting pulled off YouTube for this, but
Oh,
shout
yeah,
out to
probably
that guy
stop.
for coming in. Yeah, shout out to that guy for coming in and saying that.
That was instant. Look at how many people are lining up right now. Because now that's 1, 2, and then there's people behind him getting ready to jump in there as well. They're just like, what the fuck?
But
Like,
did you
stop.
hear her? She wasn't even listening to what he said. She went into that
No.
situation with her own
She had a full-on
idea,
agenda.
yeah, of what
Yep.
was going to happen, and did not listen to a single word that he said. She probably didn't even watch any of those videos. Oh, we can't call her a she. My bad.
Yeah, she did.
Zer, Zim,
They
whatever.
were upset when the her word was used. So my default is then to go to they because
But that's them
it
just
just
trying to manipulate the
feels more
conversation
neutral.
and
I
take
don't
a power position. Like this is the video that I believe got him famous. I think this was the original video.
Well, it's absurd. I don't know. There's nothing to it. They're not having a conversation. They're not really engaging. Like it's or going in accusing and throwing like you're being mean to minorities. You're fueling this thing towards people that are like already in a minority situation. Like you're trans or you're especially trans. She specifically mentioned trans a few times or people of color, etc. So instantly, people around him that can fit in that category are going, "You're wrong," and stepping up and showing something to her. But it's such a fucking weird concept because it's like,
But it's
What
they're
do you
trying to
have
make
to
it guilty by
gain?
association.
yeah,
Right?
like-
So if there's a concert
yeah,
and one person at that concert is, racist, is it now a racist concert? Or are you is that artist promoting racism by there
by
being
still continuing that concert.
Yeah, by
like,
one
what if, like,
person
he sees
being
the
shitty in the
person,
audience?
wearing like a swastika or something and goes, "I know there's people who are totally down for Nazi shit here. I'm gonna continue playing." That doesn't really mean that they're a bad guy.
Yeah,
I
not
don't know.
necessarily that that's
just
what this
crazy concept,
was, but the argument we can't even allow people with different views into the conversation, otherwise you're a piece of shit. If you talk to somebody who's a racist, or if you engage or have them on your platform or interact if you don't exclude them from society, you're a piece of shit.
And they don't actually have to necessarily even be a racist or an asshole.
No.
They just need to be perceived as a racist or an
Public
asshole.
opinion.
Yeah, they just have to like have one or two wrong enough things and they're fucked. Like it's over. Just entirely by association. I mean, like there's a couple bad people doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, and that was the whole.
And I don't even know.
Yeah, that's just fucking ridiculous.
That not calling somebody by a pronoun that has been used to refer to
No, I think
individual
it's
people.
legislating it. It's legislating it as a necessity that I have no objection.
Okay, so if there was this legislation was not on the table.
Oh yeah, I think he was arguing the fact that in a new Canadian law was that you had to acknowledge pronouns or something. Take this with a grain of salt. It's something along that line, something to do with pronouns, that you had to acknowledge pronouns, and he was arguing against that, and people took that and then created this fabrication that he was anti-trans off of that.
Well, it's like saying you have to be polite. You have to be nice to
It's
me.
worse
You
than
have
that.
to be better. Well, because yeah, I mean, it's a
It's
similar
you having
concept. Like,
you
you
have to
have
acknowledge a fantasy. Or
Ooh.
I'm gonna get some shit. I'm gonna
that
get
was
some
not
shit
a
for
good
saying that.
line.
But you have to acknowledge someone else's reality. That's what it is. Not necessarily fantasy, but you have to acknowledge someone else's reality to make them feel good. I know that's dying. You're like,
I can make a really bad like
you're
analogy there.
Oh, come on, do it.
Oh, okay. So I'll save you. It's
I'm
like
already
walking
getting
into the psych
canceled.
ward and going, "Yeah, you're totally This is a really bad analogy."
Shit.
So you can walk into the psych ward and go, "Yeah, I'll totally acknowledge that you do like that. There are totally hanging bodies from the ceiling right now." When you have a client who thinks that they're hanging bodies from the ceiling right now, they're just dropping like around her like crazy, and there's acknowledging that. So that's acknowledging someone's reality. Now there's just acknowledging like just not being a dick. Like if someone goes, "I want to be called Angel instead of Angelleigh," and you still call me Angelleigh every day, I'll be like, "Fuck, they're wrong," but they're not like entirely wrong. They're just kind of rude about it. Whatever,
They're just a
fine.
dick.
They're a dick. They're not acknowledging the fact that I want to be called something else. Fine. It's invalidating to a certain extent. How much am I going to let it bother me? Now, I understand that's going to be more damaging than someone calling me a him or he constantly. That happened to me one time when I was a kid, when I had my hair cut short.
Somebody called you a he?
Yeah, they called me a guy. That happened to me one time as a kid, and I fucking flashed them. Now, quite frankly...
Flashed them with...
I was at
Whoa.
the...
How old? Whoa!
I was like 6 years old, and I was at Calcourts.
Flash somebody at 6 years old at Calcourts.
I was in the changing room at Calcourts. Like, I was there with my babysitter, and this older woman...
What were you doing at the gym at 6 years old?
I was like 6, maybe 7. I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was
Were
first
you
grade.
working out?
No, we went swimming.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just showered post-swimming. So, okay, context. I showered post-swimming. And like, I was with my babysitter, great woman, awesome. And just some lady had called me like a little boy or something. "Oh, you're so adorable," because my hair was cut short. And I didn't say a fucking word. I just, and then closed. Just opened, closed, done. Silence that. Because in my mind, as a child, I'm not a fucking boy if I don't got a dick down there. I already knew I had different equipment. That was my mind as a child. And that's how I would correct that as a child. As an adult, someone wants to call me a guy, whatever, I'd be like, "Can you use bro instead?" No? Okay, well then you kind of suck ass, but that's your problem, not mine. And I don't think people kind of go about things this as chill as that. Because most of the time it's like, you're not calling me this specifically. You're a fucking dick, you're a piece of shit, you should go die in hell, etc. Instead of just, you kind of suck, I don't really want to spend more time with you, because you're not acknowledging, you're not calling what I want you to call me, you're not really respecting me. So go fuck off and die. Instead of like, maybe let's work on it. Because like, sometimes people have slips and whatnot. There are so many times when I have no idea, like, I just can't tell. I'm not wearing my glasses 90% of the time. I can't tell what someone's gender is. And I definitely can't tell what they identify as if they're, like, more non-binary. I have no idea. My default is always going to be they, them in talking about them. And that's just my brain's default, because I'm like, we don't know. Like all the talkers are in the brain going, we have no idea. I don't know. We're not going to mess it up, though. They look fabulous tonight. Okay, sounds good. They look fabulous tonight. And they move on. That's it. The whole conversation goes forward from there. The fact that there is so much, like, fuck you for calling me her mentality, even in that video and whatnot, it's just like, why?
How would he know?
I'm like, he has no idea.
We couldn't see her. We couldn't see her in the video.
Yeah, I'm like, he sees a person. He sees what you're presenting as, and he's going to make an assumption from there. If I see someone that looks 110% like they are doing 110% female aesthetic, my brain is not going to go, they, them, just in case, to save my ass, right? That's my brain's favorite thing to do. It's not going to jump to they, them. My brain is going to go, she looks great tonight. Not, they look great tonight. She looks great tonight. Damn, that outfit on fleek. Or damn, she should use less eyeliner. If we're going to be judgy. There's options here. But that's just because, again, we associate from growing up and everything, like the world that we're literally in, we associate things with, being more feminine and things with being more male, which is why you have something like non-binary around to begin with, as people who just don't quite identify with either, which is why you're able to switch between clothing and you're able to identify as whatever. But with all of that freedom comes the understanding that at times you're going to look more one way than the other than you actually are or feel like, and someone's going to label you one thing instead of another because of the way you're dressed and walking around. And that's just an understanding of, like, this is the human condition. Like, this is the human experience. We only have so much information to go off of. You're presenting it. If you don't present it 100% in one direction or another, whatever, someone misinterprets it, they're not a dick. They went with what they had. They went with what they saw, what they experienced, and they gave it a shot at trying to gender you. That doesn't make them an asshole. It doesn't make them a bad person. They tried.
I think it's
I'm
the
like, come
reverse
on.
in some, like the bad person thing. I think that is reversed in some ways. If you just assume someone is a shitty person for referring to you as a gender you don't identify as without knowing, you're kind of a dick.
Yeah.
To respond like that to someone who doesn't know, if you look like a girl and they
And
refer to
then
you as a girl, or you look like a boy and they refer to you as a
you're
boy,
kind of baiting, man. Like,
yeah, and then
especially
you're
if you
using
go
that
out and you
fucking
dress in, like, the super feminist, like, as femme as you can get, like, everything associated with femininity. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not that, other genders, other people, etc. cannot dress this way. That is not what I'm saying in the slightest. But if you go out dressing in things that are specifically, like, we associate with a specific gender, and it's like you're wearing this short skirt,
if
your
you look
legs
like
are
a girl
shaved,
and you dress like
you're
a girl, you can't get mad somebody
you're
calls
wearing
you a
like
girl.
some fantastic makeup, your hair, you have a long wig on. I didn't even drink this one yet.
I didn't drink the okay.
Okay.
Whoa.
Like, you have, like, your fed, like, and you can wear makeup as a guy, whatever, but you have, like, the makeup on, you have your long hair on, you have the short skirt, you have all those things. You're wearing a little push-up bra, you pushed whatever the hell you got going on up there together, and you're going to sit there and be offended when someone goes she and they look at you. You're trapping, bro.
You want that moment
You
so you
want
can
that
attack
moment.
them.
You are trying really hard to get that moment of them to misgender you, just so you can be like, haha, you're wrong, you're a
piece
dick.
of shit.
Yeah, fuck you for misgendering
You didn't know my
me.
gender?
You couldn't tell there's a penis very well tucked underneath here? Come on, my balls aren't sagging down below my skirt enough for you? Like, really?
Oh,
Come
we are so
on.
getting canceled
Like,
for this.
That's I'm sorry, but that's the shit that's like, that's too far. You've gone beyond the line of, like, I respect whatever the fuck you want to be, whoever you are. Like, whoever you are. That's you. That's who you are. I respect it. Just let me know if I fuck up. Let me know. And I'll correct my shit. And, like, I might not be perfect. Like, you might have changed your name from, like, Nicholas to Nicole, and I fucking accidentally call you Nicholas for the first 3 times because I've been calling you Nicholas for, like, a decade. And then I'm gonna fix it, though, and, like, switch down to Nicole. Okay, I got this. Easy. Can do this. Absolutely. Or whatever the fuck it would be. I don't really know. But, like, I put in the effort. I give a shit. I don't want to misgender or be, like, an asshole to anybody. But if you go out of your way to, like, bait somebody into a situation where you know they're gonna fuck up on that, you really gotta take a cue from, like, Angel as a child with short ass hair, a damn child. Okay, I
want
didn't say a
everybody to just
word.
flash?
Like, don't flash people necessarily, but you don't need to be a dick about it. Like, I wasn't a dick when she, like, thought that I was a boy. I was just like, you're wrong. That was my whole check. I was just like, no. I didn't even say a word. I was just like, no. You don't necessarily need to flash people. Obviously, that's very not decent
It's
behavior.
interesting that you had that idea to do that as a 6-year-old.
But I knew those things were different as a 6-year-old. I learned this is, like, because I was taught, like, that's your private area. You don't let other people touch that, etc. And I had, like, a friend in kindergarten who had a younger brother who was, like, a little baby and had been changed in front of me. And I was like, that shit's not what I got. And they're like, you have different parts. So I had this explained to me at a very young age that did not look like it was a good time.
Oh, man.
That male and female have different parts and that they're private and, touchy, etc. That was explained to me at a very young age. And I'll admit that because I had my best friend in kindergarten had, like, a younger brother, and, like, he was just getting changed in the living room, and I was just like, what the fuck?
What is happening over
I'm
there?
like, what's that? I'm like, that's different. And so, like, I had that, like, whole talk and everything. So the second that, like, and that was, like, the only big difference when you're, like, 6, because you don't have boobs or butt or any, like, all those things aren't there. Your only, like, big difference factor is sometimes you wear different clothes, maybe, and your things
Shit
in one
doesn't match.
specific area do not match. So in that situation where I had my hair cut short, I knew that it was more of a men's cut at the time. Like I was aware, guys cut. But it was also very in at the time because it's like early 2000s. Okay. Yeah, like that was my first response to go. Like this is the only like. I mean, I'm very socially inept. I fucking suck at talking. So
You said that,
I
but
went
then we
straight
do
to like
we do
just
3
look.
4-hour podcasts and we're okay.
Yeah. So that was my response. It was just like, oh, you're wrong, and then we just moved on. Like that was it. Like I didn't even we didn't have a discussion about it. She laughed. My babysitter laughed. It was fine. It's still a joke to this day. It's but if someone misgenders you in public, quite frankly, don't flash them, but just be like, oh, I'm actually blank.
And if they don't,
and then you just kind of walk away, and like that's it. And they don't want to acknowledge it. Like that's their problem.
Just walk away.
Yeah, like oh, they like whatever, walk away. That's all I did. Just hey, you're wrong, and walked away.
We're in this weird time in society where just walking away doesn't feel like it's an option.
Yeah, and I'm
where
like
people just have to beat it into you.
They want to argue. They want to yell. They want to feel vindicated. They want to feel like their struggle is real and important, etc. And it's like. No one has to validate you but you. And if you're going to everybody else to try and get validation, you're doing a shitty job.